Are you shy, an introvert, or socially anxious? My name is Mohammad Maxwell Hassan, and you might find that these terms are used interchangeably, but there is a very real difference among them. And inshallah, for today's conversation, we're going to use the story of Musa alayhi salam to understand what's the difference between the three. Now, before we dive into that, imagine this. Imagine you're at a networking event, or even the thought of the networking event pops into your head. It might have a reaction. You might have a reaction to it. Not, oh man, I can't believe I have to go to this event. It's not really my thing. Why is that? Like, why is it that going to a networking event, meeting new people could be a problem? SubhanAllah, just to frame the context of this conversation, relationships are necessary for us to live. We need to have relationships with other folks in order to form the backbone of our society. And there's only so much that we can go on our own. And it's tougher and tougher the older you get to start making new relationships. It's possible. For example, when you have a young kid, take a small child, they might be friends with anyone. They want to play with anyone. They're open, doing whatever. But the moment they hit high school, suddenly it shrinks. Now they only have a certain group of people they want to hang out with. And then when you go to work, or if you go to university or college, it shrinks even more. So when it comes to relationships and making new connections, it could be tough for a lot of folks. But part of that is whether or not we accurately determine whether we're shy, whether we're an introvert, or if we have social anxiety. So now let's look at the story of Musa alayhi salam to figure out the difference between the three. First, shyness. Now, one easy way to define what shyness is all about: shy is a physical manifestation of this feeling, right? Of being shy. So in a sense, for example, your cheeks turn bright red, you might look away, you might, it shows up in the body. Basically, that's how you can determine it's shy. When was this in the example of Musa alayhi salam's life? When Musa alayhi salam helped out these two women with their flock, he helped water their flock. One of the two women walked, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala records in the Quran, one of them walked shyly towards him. One of them walked shyly towards him. And so what we find later on in the story is that she was in love with him. She couldn't express her love just all like that, but it showed up in her mannerisms. It showed up physically, the way she was walking in a shy way. So subhanAllah, if someone is shy, you can look to see about the physicalities. That's for the shyness. Now, what about introvert? You hear a lot of times people talking about identifying themselves as introverted. What is an introvert? One way you can look at it is someone who retains their energy by being alone. Meaning that if they're around people too much, it drains their social energy way too much. They'd rather be alone to recharge their batteries. When was this as an example in the life of Musa alayhi salam? Now picture this. Musa alayhi salam, he had a big headache with his nation. Suffered a lot of headache with them, like constant back and forth, and the Pharaoh, that battle with the Pharaoh, that showdown, it's tough, it's intense, it definitely drained Musa alayhi salam. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes mention that for 40 days, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed Musa alayhi salam to be away from the people and to receive revelation. So in one way, you can look at how Musa alayhi salam, he was instructed to be away from the people to recharge his batteries, especially after this huge headache that he had dealing with his nation, subhanAllah. And as a side note here, does this also remind you of another prophet, who was another prophet that secluded himself away from people? Yes, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. he was in the cave of Hira, and for many nights at a time, he used to go think about life. So introvertness is like recharging your batteries when you don't have too many people. So that's introverted. Now, what about social anxiety? One way to look at social anxiety is the actual fear of meeting people. And I've seen this happen, by the way. Like I've seen people where it's not just a physical manifestation, like they just don't want to meet new people. They're scared. It's frightening. You know, if imagine someone says, oh, go into a tank with a shark, you'd be petrified. Similar idea. Some people are just petrified of meeting new people. So of course it determines the severity is another story. However, the whole point is that there's a fear of being with people. SubhanAllah, what about the story of Musa alayhi salam? What can we draw from this? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made mention of him okay, he has a mission now, go after the Pharaoh and deliver the message of Islam. Musa alayhi salam, he made that famous dua. You're probably aware of it, right? Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, expand from me my chest. So basically that Pharaoh can hear me clearly with my words. Now Musa alayhi salam, he knows, as much as he trusts Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he has full faith. There's no doubt about it. However, can you imagine just for a second that this is the task that you've been given? Imagine you were given this task. Go straight up to the Pharaoh and tell him straight to his face that you're wrong, everything is wrong, and that there's only one God, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is essentially certain death. Fir'aun he controlled everybody basically at that time in Egypt. And here comes Musa alayhi salam just basically telling it to his face, no way. SubhanAllah. So Musa alayhi salam, you would dread this conversation. So he was afraid, but he wasn't afraid of Fir'aun per se. He was afraid that his words wouldn't be given in the best way because of that natural inclination. So you see, shyness is a physical manifestation, just like how that girl, that lady, how she walked shyly towards Musa alayhi salam. The introvertedness, when Musa alayhi salam was instructed for 40 days away from people to recharge his batteries and to get the revelation. And the social anxiety is dreading that confrontation with Pharaoh. Right? It's pretty scary. So these are three different situations. Now, for you and I, how can this be related to us? When we're meeting new people, it's an opportunity for us to grow and network and connect. There's a few things here that in my experience I've found why people, our brothers and sisters, aren't leaping at the opportunity for networking. For starters, they may not have the toolkit. They just don't know how. How do you approach people? I don't know how to give small talk. I don't know. And so they just don't know. And if you don't know something, then you tend to shy away from it. On the other hand, as well, there's this aspect of past experiences. Maybe you know someone. It could be your own family. It could be a friend, someone who betrayed you, someone who treated you wrongly. And it hurts. It left a hole in the soul. And the heart doesn't want to be broken. So you just shut yourself down, away from people. I don't want to be broken anymore. I don't want to feel that heartache, because every time you are about to meet someone new, there's a possibility for good. It could be the best person you ever met, or it could be the worst person you've ever met, someone who can make your life miserable. So why take that chance? Just stay out of it. So in our case, for us as Muslims, Rasulullah, he made mention of the importance of community, the importance of us getting out and meeting others. You know, Rasulullah, he mentioned, say salam to those you know and that you don't know. Doesn't mean you have to be best friends with everyone. At least extend the salam to people you don't know or know. So next time you go to Jummah, next time you're at the masjid, next time, just make it a habit. Say, you know what, let me try to reach out to 5 new people and just say salam. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. You don't have to carry a full conversation. Just saying salam. Exercise that, spreading the salam. That's one idea. Because the point is that the more we're able to get out of our comfort zone, you'll see things happen that you would never expect. SubhanAllah, one way that really it drove this point home for me was in the hospital. When you go to the hospital, there's a form that you need to fill out. And in that form, there's different types of information that needs to be required. One of those requirements is who is your emergency contact? If you can't think of someone, who is that one person I can go to for an emergency, then we might have a problem here. We might have a problem, because if we can't even think of that person who's someone that we could lean on for support, then it is what it is. I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us. We're not meant to be hermits just to be in our own world and that's it. We are meant to be a community. Rasul mentioned that the ummah is like one body. One part is in pain, everybody rushes to help it, right? And so having said all of that, if you yourself right now watching this, it's tough to make new friends. It's tough to make new connections. It's tough. I'm with you. There are steps, there are ways. It's worth it. It's worth it when you find the right people. At the end of the day, the people won't help you, only Allah will, yes. However, if you are able to make those connections, you will start to see you could make someone's life easier, or they could make your life easier. I can't tell you how many times I was stuck in a rut, made a quick phone call, alhamdulillah, it all was resolved. But just like how you don't expect a tree to grow the next day you plant a seed, relationships are just like that seed. You got to water it, you got to nurture it for it to grow. Relationships don't just happen. It takes many years of continuous effort. Checking in, Assalamu alaikum, how are you doing? How can I help you? That's all it is. And inshallah, if we implement this, we can overcome our shyness. We can be cool with being introverted, and we can manage our social anxiety. Barakallahu feekum, jazakumullahu khairan, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.